An important component of langchain is the chain module. The basic building block for chains are LLM chain. To use LLM chain, we have to import LLM chain from langchain.chains. LLM chains are very simple chains in which it takes two arguments. One is the prompt, which is given as a prompt template. This prompt is passed to the corresponding LLM model. Like this, I can create multiple LLM chains. But let's take a scenario where I want to consider a journal paper on the topic Thread GPT. I want to find the publication date and then pass the publication date to another LLM model. And in that LLM model, I want to find the difference between the publication date and the current date. So twice I want to call the LLM model. Once to find the publication date in the journal paper, and the second time to find the difference between the publication date and the current date. When I need more than one chains, we use a sequential chain. There are two types of sequential chain classes that we can consider. The simplest is the simple sequential chain that we import from langchain.chain. The difference between the simple sequential chain class and the sequential chain class that we will see later is that the simple sequential chain can take only a single input and can produce only a single output. If we want multiple input variables and multiple output results, we need to go in for a sequential chain. This video focuses on simple sequential chains. Now I need to first get a journal paper from the archive. So I am going to pip install ARXIV. I'm going to use an LLM model, which is the OpenAI model. And for the prompts, I import prompt template from langchain.prompts. And the third component that I'm using is the LLM chain from langchain.chains. Here in this case, first we import ARXIV API wrapper from langchain.utilities. That is, we are using a tool, and then we create an object for the ARXIV API wrapper. Finally, we run it. When we run any tool which is found in LangChain, we know that it takes a single string as input and returns a string as output. So this is the text that is given as input, and it returns another text which is docs as output. The text that is returned has details about the date of publication, the title, the authors, and a summary of the paper. First, let me use the OpenAI model and find the date of publication of a paper. So already the paper that I need is in the variable docs. I write the prompt template as identify the date of publication, and the input that I need to give is docs. Since it's an F string, I've given the placeholder here. And then I need to create the object for prompt template. This is the normal steps followed to create an LLM chain. That is, create an object for the OpenAI model, create an object for the prompt template, and then pass the object of the prompt template to the LLM model. So this creates an object for the LLM chain. The second part of our requirement is, now that I have got the date of the journal, I wanted to return the number of years, months, and days since the date of publication. Now, if I do not give the current date explicitly, the LLM model has no reason to know the system date by itself. So it will return a wrong date, which is the cutoff date at which it was last trained. It is better to give the current date explicitly, which I have done here. So the template says find the number of days since the journal was published. The publication date is given, and I've given the current date, and I have also specified the format in which I want the output. I create another LLM chain for this. As usual, I follow the steps. First, create an object for the OpenAI model, then create an object for the prompt template. Here, the date is the input variable. And then I create another LLM chain with the prompt and the LLM model. The output of this date chain is now the input to this LLM model. To perform this, we make use of the simple sequential chain. From langchain.chains, import simple sequential chain. This takes two arguments. One is chains, and I need to give the chains within a list. The first chain that I want to be executed is date chain, and the text that is returned as response is passed as input parameter to diff date chain through this string here. And as usual, we need to finally run the chain. So I call this as the overall chain, run the overall chain. For this, I have to give the input that is to be given to the first chain. Here, the input to the first chain is the entire text from the journal from which it has to identify only the publication date. So I have given the entire text using docs. We know that it is now executing a simple sequential chain. The first result that was returned was 3rd July 2023. And then I have asked the difference between 3rd July 2023 and 4th July 2023. And so it finally returns the answer as 1 day. Now here we have given verbose is equal to true, and so it says, or it gives us the steps it followed to get us the result. Now let's try removing this and run it. So we get the review, and then when we finally print the review, it only gives us the final answer. So if you want the sequence that was followed, we need to pass the second argument to simple sequential chain, that is verbose is equal to true. By default, it is false. So in this video, we have learned how to use a simple sequential chain. Thank you.